Junja's going to be caught out though as he runs for his life. Gets away with the help of a heal. And CFO supporting staff are coming in. Carrier though, a clutch defense. Petrifying Gaze though won't be enough. As Driver's always where you need him as well. Against T1, CFO get a bit of revenge. And the first team going 2-0, Betty. At least in my eyes, CFO smacking down the LCK's fourth seeders. Baker runs back to the base, but this game's done. I see one delicious looking oyster at Worlds 25.
What an incredible game. The tension was so high as T1.
就当下还是非常开心嘛，然后但是明天还有比赛就不能掉以轻心。
Sheer level of confidence from Junja was unbelievable. And I mean, we didn't talk about him much, but Kaiwing had some insane moments as well.
其实就有想过，因为其实我们看完第一天有8场比赛嘛，大家都有不同种的 BP。那 BO1 其实要 BP 的战术真的特别多。那我们自己就是做好我们自己的 BP 为主，因为他们前3选了凯特琳加尼可，就是应该是这世界赛版本下路最强之一的组合。那我们就算选下路，我们也不一定是赢，所以我们就是选择让我们中上野拿最强的角色。那后续就是让下路去比较正对线去做一些战术，像换线啊，然后学一些牛来打团，然后也防对面点塔，因为女警会怕一下牛头的闪现 W 可以闪现 Q 撞回来。所以其实就是看到对面的角色了，我们就当下就很快的去想要用什么战术去应对。
Gives her a ton of options to be able to play relatively safe in the laning phase.
Okay.
What?
So was that an option?
被迫选择，就是对面选择了女警强势对线嘛，那我可能也要选一个比较强的对线。
And T1 punished so damn well as Gumayushi gets flashed on. Doggo still got the spunk. 3-0 on the Draven.
也是被迫选择，因为队伍在上路好像死了3个，我好像没办法，只能冲一波了，就可以让生存能力多一点嘛，因为对面有锁头这种阵容，就是怕被锁到直接秒掉，然后我的优势就是直接送出去。
They finish the kill. It's Doggo who gets more money in the bag. Doran now isolated, has to go back in. But the supreme display of unholy talent, Junja on Kiana, is just exceptional.
我觉得过来也团练一阵子了嘛，那我觉得调整最多应该是我们个人失误，因为其实我们个人失误一直以来都是蛮常犯的。那我比赛前就是一直叮咛他们说，我们世界赛你们要打得远，就是先把个人失误减少，因为你来这种比赛，你一有失误，基本上你游戏就输掉了，可能一个小失误就输掉比赛。所以我觉得这2天他每次失误有一定降低到我们应该是今年最低的时候。
Relmov into Guma's face, but he's spaced him, he's ranged him, and Baker stares him in the face. However, the pop back is massive. CFO are doing it, and even with the ulti avoided by Doran, he's down 2, and in the LCP, we believe.
因为之前有打过 T1 嘛，然后我们也是有输有赢，就看今天的运气在谁身上，只不过今天在我身上，然后肯定有预想过，因为谁会想到自己会输呢？
This again. It's only one game, but it feels so good. Junja's going to be caught out, though, as he runs for his life. Gets away with the help of a heal. And CFO supporting staff are coming in. Carrier, though, a clutch defense. Petrifying Gaze, though, won't be enough.
我觉得只不过是世界赛让大家皮紧绷了一点嘛，然后就是看到我们打 T1 的时候也是会有一点小失误，那可能就是我们需要在 BO1 去改善，或是我们 BO3 在第1把也需要去改善，就是不要让自己送的太多。
其实老实说吧，就是有想过，因为其实世界赛就是应该说 BO1 都有可能。我有想过我们是0-2，这个东西就是永远不好说。因为虽然是打 BO1、BO3，但是对我们而言，你可以用另外一个角度看，它也是一个 BO5，谁先拿到3胜或3败，就是谁先进8强或淘汰嘛。那我们就用这种心态，所以就算输了也没差，赢了也只是暂时的，后面还有比赛需要去。像 Dogo 这个达瑞文 pick， 然后我们整个换线，他自己，因为其实我们有练蛮多的，那他这个东西是他做的非常好，那我觉得就是他也找到一个适合他的东西，那他单杀我觉得是比较没想到，那后续整体团队云印啊或沟通都做的比我想的好很多，就是大家真的很相应。